I know that there was talk of bringing back Butch Davis. I don't know if that was a viable option.
It was not. It was talk from the fan base. You can't go home again. At this kind of a job. Yes, you might have a who's dude who just Greg Schiano, who was Miami's defensive coordinator at one time. He's back at Rutgers. Sure, you can take somebody back. At a program like that. But Miami's kind of playing on that level. But I think that, and Mac Brown is kind of the anomaly where you're at a Power 5 school going back and running it back for a second time. Bobby Petrino did go back to Louisville, and they hit a couple high notes with Lamar Jackson, but that covered up major problems with that program, and that crashed and burned kind of like his motorcycle did in Arkansas. Anyway, with Butch Davis, that wasn't really a real consideration there. And, Blake James said that he thought that or knew that Manny Diaz was the guy for the job. So even though he said we're going to do a nationwide search after the press release came out that Mark Richt was retiring, 10 hours later, Manny Diaz was hired on a Sunday, by the way. When I was at brunch, I remember my phone went crazy. So I'll say that was either predetermined, like a Jaron Williams throw on an RPO slant, or the fastest comprehensive national coaching search ever in the history of life. And for me, I'm going to say the former, not the latter.
Coaching has to be the issue. They have had, during that time, one coach who had posted a track record that we could trust as being successful in his next stop, and that would be Mark Richt. But he only stuck around for 3 years, and he made poor decisions, and maybe didn't have the energy or the fight to carry the flag at that point in his career. So that could be judged in that degree. Al Golden won at Temple to a certain degree. Randy Shannon hasn't been very good coordinator on a number of levels, but hasn't been a good head coach. And now we see Manny Diaz. It's only 12 games into the tenure. So have the players in the administration been the same that have made the decisions over this roughly 15-year period?
No. Donna Shalala took over as president my sophomore year in 2001. I was there for Tad Foote. If you've seen the U documentaries, tall, fuddy-duddy, white hair, guy, very prestigious looking gentleman. But his final year was my freshman year in 2001. But yeah, after that, it was Donna Shalala. And then obviously we've had multiple athletic directors. And the board of trustees has been largely the same. But no, it's not been exactly the same people. It's been bad choices. I mean, not necessarily. Things have not worked out. I understand where they came from. Butch Davis had Miami on the precipice. So he leaves to go to the NFL, and you say, look, we're just going to keep this thing rolling. We're going to put Larry Coker as the head coach, autopilot, if you will. Boom, done. He ends up flaming out. And you say, look, Randy Shannon, he's from Carroll City High School. He's from South Florida. He played here. He won championships here. He was the defensive coordinator during, after Schiano left to Rutgers. Shannon took over as defensive coordinator, outstanding defensive coordinator. Boom, let's get it. I understand that. You have that 2008 recruiting class from Miami Northwestern under Randy Shannon's watch, where you had all of the All-Americans from the national championship high school football team right on 95th Street. I get it. Sorry, they're on 71st. Miami Central's on 95th. It's weird. Anyway, but you got to get all those guys. It didn't work. I get it. You got the sanctions and everything going on. You need somebody to kind of reset the program, like get a foundation, a base, clean it up. Al Golden is that guy. I get it. You bring in Mark Richt, who had a track record like we've talked about of 9.5, 10 wins a year. I get it. You bring in Manny Diaz, who was the architect of the defense that Mark Richt brought in to rebuild the U, as it were. I get it. I understand it in every place. They just have not gone right. And this is what I talked about in the Embattled Coaches Playbook. I only went back to Golden and Richt because I could have gone back to Shannon, but I was doing kind of a quick write last night, so I didn't want to go that far. Eddie Sewell, shut up. Al Golden was loyal to a fault to Mark D'Onofrio. That got him fired. So step one of the embattled coaches playbook, I'll tell you what it is. Step one is admitting that there's a problem. Is, hey, look, things aren't going right. You see that we're losing games. Boom, we got to change some stuff. Step two is changing stuff, which means firing coordinators and changing scheme. Al Golden decided he was not going to do that. And the offense that Al Golden ran was actually pretty darn good. The defense was just atrocious. That got him fired. Mark Richt needed to give up play calling, fire his son as a quarterback coach, bring in an offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, which means Thomas Brown's probably going to go because he was your offensive coordinator in name, but not actual duties. So you're going to turn over a couple guys and get rid of Stacey Searles on offensive line coach. So you had to do multiple things and update the scheme by bringing in this person to run a spread. You didn't want to do that. So he retired. But that's right at the second step of changing things. Here is where Manny Diaz is. He's a great talker. His dad was a politician. He has that same kind of thing where he'll talk a great game. Oh, yeah, things aren't going right. We're evaluating everything. Blah, 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 blah. Now is the time when you have to change. Period. And so you have to do that. After you do that, then you start winning. After you start winning with your updated scheme, then you prosper. Those are the 4 steps of an in-battle coach's playbook. That's how you save your job at a major college football program. It is very clear. I can see it. Other people can see it. I wrote that piece. I've heard from other journalists saying, bro, yes, obviously, duh. But Miami's not doing that. So we'll see if Manny Diaz actually does that. But the people making the decisions have changed. You had Sean Eichhorst. You had that other Kirby Hocutt, terrible athletic director. After Paul D left and passed away, God rest his soul. But no, yeah, the power brokers have changed over the course of time. Obviously, you have a new university president in Julio Frank, who follows Shalala, who followed Foote. I already mentioned the athletic directors. I don't know the names of all the board of trustees, but those are people who are integrated. But Miami doesn't have the same booster culture of, a SEC school or something like that. And I urge you to listen to Bomani Jones's podcast. He did a great feature with Banner Society called Sideline, talking about booster culture. He talked to a bunch of different journalists about this and people who, even a couple of those journalists played college football. Guys that Joel Anderson from Slate, Marcus Spears from ESPN. It's a wonderful thing, and it really sheds light on the situation. Stephen Godfrey from Banner Society and Spencer Hall were the other two in that 4-part series. But I say that to say they're talking about all this money, all the in the SEC, and all they're doing all those things. Miami doesn't have it like that. And I mean, there are people at Miami who are filthy rich. The School of Music is named after somebody who dropped a $500 million check my junior year in college to put his name on the School of Music. The Frost family, the Miller School of Medicine, they dropped $700 million to put their name on the School of Medicine. There are people who have money in Miami, but not many of them are using that influence to make the athletic department run in the way that they want it to. So things are a little bit different, and it is not necessarily great. And you really put the onus on the people that you hire as the coaches to have that viewpoint, that methodology, that to make things work. And in the last, multiple instances, unfortunately, they just have not.